Okay, so as I've just said to Jake, thanks, Derek. So, okay, let me just get rid of that message that's in the middle of our screen. And okay, so we're here tonight because we're all involved, or Jake's probably soon to become involved in a business where we build teams of people. We don't have to do it, but tonight's session's really for those people who want looking to accelerate their income, build a large income, and quicker than just a simple, straightforward compounding can do for them in the business that we're in. And what we're talking about. So tonight's not going to be specific to our business necessarily. It just applies to any kind of business where you're building teams of people and helping them to build their teams as well. And that's a key word. It's helping other people. You know, it's not like when you go to work and you've got a boss and he tells you what to do, you've got to do it. Otherwise, you'll be out the door. You won't get paid next month or whatever it is next week. And that's a bit of a pain. And that's happening all over the world at the moment, isn't it? There's a lot of people struggling, a lot of businesses going to the wall, and they're all going. But essentially, if you don't suck up to your boss and don't do what you're told, then you're not going to be going very far in that job. Well, this is different in as much as we're all in our own business. You have the opportunity to build a bigger business and progress faster and bigger than the person who invited you to look at this business. And these things sound very trivial, but they're very important in the terms of how we need to deal with people and help people to build their teams. So that's what we're talking about tonight, is basic networking, really. And we're going to go into, I'm just going to give an overview of some of the key points. And I might just bring Derek in, because Derek's my upline, by the way. He's got a much, much larger business than I have. So I look to Derek and I'll get advice from Derek in terms of structure and building the business as we go along, so that I can best build my business too. And that's the beauty of this business. You see, if you've got a boss and you go to him and say, "Boss, I want your job. I want to overtake you," what's he going to say? Okay, he's not going to be very happy about that. You're never going to overtake your boss. He doesn't want you to. Okay, but in this business, we encourage people to. We want people to overtake us if we can. That's our job, to help people to try and overtake us, and if we can, to be more successful than we are. And there's no other business like it, in that respect. So I'm going to go through some of those important things. And what we've just been mentioning now is your relationship between yourself and your upline. Now, this is a very, very important relationship. It's vital, in fact. And if it doesn't kind of sink in this evening, then as time goes on, you'll get the hang of it. Some of us who have been around network marketing businesses, affiliate marketing businesses, will understand these principles. And those who don't quite get it, because they're still used to having a boss and just doing what they're told. Okay, so I could question Derek. I could say, "Hey Derek, I don't think that's right," but I'd have to be very careful when I'm doing that, because your relationship with your upline works like this. In this business, as in most of these affiliate type programs and network type programs, it's so important to listen to your upline, because they have a vested interest in your success. This is a key thing, because that means, what does that mean? If somebody's got a vested interest in your success, what does that mean? If I go to Derek and say, "Derek, what do I need to do next?" He's not going to tell me, give me the wrong path, is he, or the wrong direction. So if I was to set up a corner shop at the top of my road, and I went to the next corner shop along at the end of the next street and said, "Excuse me, mate, I want to set up a corner shop over there. How do I do it? What do I do? What products do I need to buy? What do I need to stock the shelves with? What's the most popular sellers?" and the rest of it. Okay, what do you think he's going to tell me? Nothing. Take a hike, because he's got a vested interest in my failure. Okay, so but your upline, always remember, your upline have got a vested interest in your success. That means they want to see you succeed, because if they can help you succeed, or you allow them to help you succeed, then in turn they will succeed. And that's the only way they can succeed, by helping you succeed. Okay, so does that make sense? Does everybody so far? And we're all I think most of us here are kind of familiar with that principle. Okay, so I know that Derek's never going to tell me any duff information, not knowingly. Okay, so the other thing is, you don't blindly listen to anybody, because I say, you're your own boss. And even in a network marketing or affiliate program type business, you don't necessarily listen to your immediate upline or sponsor if they're not plugged in. So how do you? We'll talk about that in a minute, about being plugged into the system that we have. So you might find that the person who introduced you or something, whatever, they just happen to mention something to you. You see a lot in it. Maybe they didn't see so much in it as you. Maybe they're not plugged in and they're not kind of getting information through to you correctly, or they're not active. So how do you tell that? Well, we've got meetings and trainings going on all the time. We've got lots of things going on. We all keep in contact with each other up and down lines of sponsorship. If you don't understand that, Jake, we get to Paul who can explain that to you. Okay, you can tell basically if your upline is basically on track, as we call it, and they're plugged in, doing meetings, attending meetings, maybe passing information down, the right information from corporate suppliers and corporate people we're working with. So you know when somebody's on track and doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're the people you want to listen to. Find somebody in your upline who's on track and who you relate to. Okay, because again, I'm sure that people I've sponsored in the past, some of them don't even like me after a while. They get fed up with me or something, and that's okay. They can go around me and find somebody they like or relate to, and if they work with them, that's great. It's to everybody's benefit, and I'm happy with that. That's brilliant. Okay, but I'll just help as many people as I can, and that's what we do. So that's kind of touched on the relationship between yourself and your upline and why we listen to them. If I didn't know how to swim and Derek was a swimming instructor and he said, "Hey, Colin, I'm going to swim across from here to the French Channel, across the English Channel, and I want you to follow me." What would happen if I only followed him 99% of the way? I wouldn't do very good, would I? I'll be drowning. So it's important that you do. You don't sort of say to. So if somebody says to you, "You're upline," and they're plugged in, they're plugged into the source, the pipeline, and they know what they're doing, and you trust them, and you know what they're doing. You know that they're doing. Why would you question them? Again, another analogy I like to use is, when you go on a flight across to wherever you go, like my wife and children just get out to Tenerife there. I'm sure my wife didn't go up the front steps of the plane, go through the door, turn left, knock on the pilot's door and say, "Excuse me, mate, do you know what you're doing? What's that switch for? What's this switch for? And which way, where are we going? Do you know how to get there?" And all the rest of it. Okay. You just have to trust that they know what they're doing, just simply by their record and their history. They know what they're doing, don't they? So that's I don't want to harp on it too much, but that's kind of where we are. Again, completely your choice whether you want to take on board any of this information, but it's a folly to kind of ignore it really if you want to move on, and that's what we're all here for, to be able to move on. Okay, so I spoke about plugging in a little while ago, and we have a system in place. So we generally have, most team building businesses, we have a system of some sort. Now that consists of your upline trainings, meetings, and functions, whatever we need to do or go to or attend. And today it's fantastic. Derek and I were brought up in the old school where before we even had the internet, and we had to literally get in the car and go to hotel rooms and stuff around the country wherever there were meetings. Now we have things like Zoom, which is absolutely incredible. I can see you, I can get pretty much your body language, from here. Those who've got your camera switched on, and if you haven't, why haven't you? But I can, we can communicate much better by this wonderful thing called Zoom. And you know what? A year and a half ago, some you guys who know my story, I didn't even know what a Zoom was. I had to get my granddaughter told me what a Zoom was, and I had to learn how to use it. So I didn't even know what a Zoom was. Never mind about anything else. Okay, so that's kind of helps to understand what part of the system is. Okay, we have information coming down. We have Telegram groups. We have information come down from there. We've got a website with all the information, videos and such like in the back office that we can look at and learn how to do every single thing that we need to do. But sometimes we don't look ourselves, do we? We just go and we just sort of go and ask our upline, or sit there twiddling our thumbs wondering what the heck we should do. That's why we've got an upline there. We've got a system there with Telegram groups, and in your back office, it's all there. All the information is there. You just have to know how to source it. But of course, as your upline here, we're here to help. Obviously, anybody who's in our teams, and it doesn't really matter if you're in my team or not. Anybody in this business, as you'll find, are willing to help anybody else, regardless of whether they've got a vested interest in or not. And that's great. You don't find that anywhere else in any other type of business. So that's part of it. Okay, so meeting, attend every meeting you can. If you can attend meetings, get to them if you can. okay? Because there'll be bits of information there that you can pick up, little bits here, little bits there. It gradually builds you a picture of knowledge, and you need knowledge and motivation to move forwards, because sometimes we have obstacles. Anytime you want to be successful in anything, okay, you're going to have obstacles. That's a guarantee. Okay? Otherwise, everybody would be successful in everything they do, wouldn't they? So there's always going to be an obstacle here, an obstacle there. Fortunately, in this opportunity, as with many others like this, we have a whole lot of help there. Just picking up the phone, speaking to somebody, get on the Zoom, whatever. There's help there, and as I say, all the information is there if you need to. But it's nice to get face to face and speak to somebody. Okay, that's our if you like, our part of our system, or our system. We'll go into more of that in details later on. Just trying to give an overview this evening of what's going on, and maybe for Jake's benefit, by the way, Derek, I don't know if you want to whiz through the opportunity. If Jake doesn't know, I haven't een it, he may have seen the video, but maybe we'll cover that at the end, if that's okay. I'll get Derek to do that because he's a master at that kind of stuff. Okay, distractions. All of us, we're in our business, and we kind of think we know where we're going, but we don't want to get distracted, do we? We don't want to get looking at what's going on. So when you saw, when you see somebody like a sprinter like Linford Christie or somebody showing me AGA there doing his 100 meters, you don't see him sort of turning around, looking sideways, looking at the crowd and looking who's taking photographs and who's doing what. Okay, so he stays focused on the finish line, and so we need to stay focused really on what we're doing in this environment, in this business. Now, some of those distractions nowadays, especially in the last couple of years, can come from all manner of things. Now, and I'm going to touch on this a bit. There are, 1,000,001 other businesses out there, and people will pitch you on all sorts of things from left, right, and centre. Okay, on all sorts of other opportunities. Okay, but we need to really be careful what we're doing in terms of staying focused on where we're headed with this business, with our chosen business. Now, if you want to choose to do other things, that's fine. Okay, that's absolutely fine. But don't expect any one business to grow particularly well if you're focused on 1,000,001 things at the same time. Okay, one or two things, yeah, great. I know people like to develop several streams of income, but you really need to stay focused. And here's another thing. Now, I'm going to hope. So, hands up, anybody, if I have not got permission to kind of tell you like it is. I'll give you a couple of minutes. If there's any hands up, they're going to tell me that I don't want to hear what I'm going to say next. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I assume then I've got your permission to shoot from the hip. I hope I can tell you this. Okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to other things and other opportunities and other, particularly other opportunities, I want to touch on this because I've had an experience of this myself, not only in this business but in other businesses as well. And here's the thing. So you're helping somebody. You put your time and effort in. That's what we do. As your upline, as with my team, I do everything I can to help those people, individuals, succeed from new to building themselves a good business where they can develop their own financial freedom. Now, along the way, let's suppose these people I've been helping, or I'm trying to help them gain their financial freedom. Let's say they get distracted, they decide to. I've seen somebody comes along with another opportunity. They go, well, "That's fantastic! What a great opportunity! I'm going to go looking at that." Okay. From that point on, me having helped somebody to achieve a certain level, if you like, and I'm plugged into them and doing my best to help them, spending my time on which I don't get paid for, obviously. From that point on, I've got to say to myself, okay, if you're going to go looking at other opportunities and you're going to kind of wander off, and not only that, maybe you're going to introduce some of your people, take some of your people off to look at another opportunity. Why should I be helping you? Okay, I know this is kind of advanced, but I know that most of you on here, apart from Jake, are kind of experienced enough for me to be able to shoot from the hip a bit like that. So if you're helping somebody in your team, if you assume you've got a team, we haven't got that far yet in terms of contacting, inviting that, but I'm just saying these are some of the principles of network marketing. Okay, so be careful of distractions elsewhere, because you can't expect your upline to help you build a business if you're scattergunning all over the place and doing all sorts of other things, 1,000,001 things at the same time. Okay, because you're not only wasting your time, but you're wasting theirs. Okay, so that's over with. So that's kind of got the shooting from the hip bit out of the way. We're all lovely people here. We want to help you, obviously, and that's whole key for it. Okay, so contact and invite. Let's get down to nitty gritty, if you like. And the very first thing. So you started. You're brand new. Okay. And I assume that your upline would probably have given you part of our system I was speaking about earlier on, which would be either pointed you to the back office where you've got a getting started right, documentation and links to sites and videos and whatever you can see. But also, I think Derek put together and Jill, I think, a nice document with the links that we can look at and how we can get started the right way. Okay. It's not a complicated business, as you'll see later on, Jake. It's a very simple business, but there are certain things that are very, very useful in helping you build it. It's all in there in your back office, but Derek and Jill and others like them have put together nice documentation so we can just click on links and we know exactly what to do. Welcome letter that gets sent out to people. So hopefully you've had that, soon after you join, which is great. Okay, so you now want to build a business. I assume you do, because that's what we're here for this evening, is about building teams. How do we start? Well, we have a real simple business. It couldn't be simpler, really, to share. It's very basic, very straightforward, and it's very, very profitable, especially if you're one of these guys like we are tonight who are going to build teams. Okay, that accelerates it incredibly, and Derek can talk a bit about that later. Myrna, yes, I agree, Jill. Yes, probably Myrna doing all the I can't even see Myrna. Where is she? But come on. Yes, Myrna. We got some top people here, by the way, guys. With through Myrna, Jill, Derek. There she is, lovely Myrna. There you go. I couldn't see her. He's off screen. There you go. Yeah, and these guys put together they spend their own time. They don't get paid for this. They put this stuff together for everybody else to benefit, which is great. Okay. And if we all benefit, everybody, including Derek, myself, everybody benefits. That's the whole key. Okay, so contacts and inviting. As simple as this business is, some people still have an issue contacting and inviting. They still have trouble picking up the phone and speaking to people. Now, when I say picking up the phone, I know it's kind of old school. That I know people love to use social media and such like, but at the end of the day, we're still humans. We still contact people. We still like face-to-face communication, because sending people a message or a text or something on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, okay, doesn't generally work very well, because there's no inflection there. There's no kind of we can't really talk to people in a natural way like humans do, because all this stuff we're doing is kind of digital. It's black and white and digital, where our brains and our minds, we're analog creatures. We work in terms of sight, sounds, feels, colours. That's how we work. So what's best, the text or maybe pick up the phone and speak to somebody? That's the scary part, isn't it? Picking up the phone and speaking to somebody. So when you're on social media, I've said this a million times before, I'm sure, throughout the years of building these sort of businesses, is that modern technology is great. We didn't have it anyway back in the day, but recently, with the advent of the internet and all the rest of it, it's great to send somebody a message, an email, or text, or whatever it is, via your phone and all that kind of stuff. It's very easy, okay, but easy is not necessarily the best. Okay, so if you're on social media, I'm sure Derek will agree with me here, your sole purpose on social media, there's only one goal on social media when you're building teams. That is to get a contact number and speak to them, either on the phone or better still on the Zoom if you can, and speak to them face to face, or at least over the phone, so you can actually hear the inflection in your voice, and you can portray or relay your enthusiasm and whatever your thoughts and feelings, because that's how we work. As I said, that's how the human brain works. It's much better than sending text. Who sent a text that was completely misunderstood by somebody, but you thought you're sending the right message, and they come back and say, "What the hell are you on about?" That's what happens when you text stuff. It's not good. So pick up the phone, guys. If you need to speak to somebody, pick up the phone. That's the scary part. Okay. What gets us to pick up the phone? Well, motivation. That's the key thing. Okay. Motivation is a key thing. So if you've got a reason to do something, you're going to do it. Simple as that. If you've got a dream that's big enough, or maybe something that you want to get out of that you don't like, usually your job. That's what most people get involved in things like this for, because they're not doing very well, or they don't like what they're doing currently, and they can't see an end to it. As I said to Jake earlier on, it's kind of, when you're working a job, it's 9 to 5. It's never 9 to 5, is it, these days? It's a lot more than that usually. You're working silly hours for not a lot of money, just enough to pay the bills, and that's how the system wants us to work. So you can never really truly increase that, because you're tied down time wise, and that's why we're building teams, okay, to leverage our time. So in that respect, okay, you need to understand that when we contact and inviting people, who's doing who the favour, okay? So Derek contacted me about this opportunity, and you know, I'm certainly not doing Derek a favour by getting in and doing whatever I do, because Derek's building a business anyway. Okay, so Derek's done me a big favour there, and you have to understand that what you got your hands on, it's very powerful. It's a lot more powerful than anybody's job, for a start. Okay, it can get them their financial freedom, as I'll get Derek to whiz through the opportunity at the end of this, so you are doing somebody a big favour simply by giving them the opportunity to set themselves free. Yeah. So you have to understand that first and foremost. If you can understand that, that gives you much better what we call posture. Okay. So you don't chase people around. Okay. You can offer them the opportunity and say, look, we have a great opportunity here. You can put it in front of them, and take it or leave it. Don't chase people around. If they see it, they'll grab it and go with it. And they're the sort of people you want. You don't want to be pestering people into it. We get down to the details of actually how you speak to people. Maybe Derek and I could do a bit of role playing, but I'd like Derek to maybe go through the opportunity to refresh our memories towards the end of this. Maybe we'll get into more details later on. Okay, so who's doing who the favour? Your posture. Well, you're definitely doing somebody a favour. If you can give them the opportunity to set themselves free, you're doing it. And we have that opportunity here. Okay, we know that with what we're doing, we know how good this thing is, and we know what it can do. We've already seen how fast Derek's built it, and others, and how well they're doing, replacing their incomes in a very, very short space of time and retiring free, which is great. It's great to see. So you are definitely doing somebody a favour when you show them this opportunity, okay? That's the first thing. So don't be frightened of picking up the phone, because you're doing them a favour. You're doing those people a favour, okay? Right, okay, so your goal is to get a number or get a talk to them on Zoom. Okay, helping people get started right. As I said before, all the back office training is in there. We got the welcome letters, stuff that Myrna and Jill and Derek have all put together over time, all the relevant document and links and whatever. And then of course you've got your upline as well. What I'd say to you is, if you're going to call your upline and you want them to spend their time, because they're going to be busy people. If you want them to spend their time, then what you need to do is be prepared. At least know what you want to ask, and maybe let them know that you've tried to do something, it didn't work, and so they can help you. I mean, the amount of people I have call me and say, "Hey, Colin, it's not working." What's not working? Well, nothing's working. Well, when you say nothing's working, is your computer screen on? Yep. Okay, so that's working. Is your mouse working? Yep. Okay, that's working. It's people just like to sort of throw everything at you at once, and you think, well, so it's always a good idea to try and find out what your issue is, if you've got an issue, before you pick up the phone to your upline, so you can best use your time and their time effectively. Okay, so that's I've just going to have a real. There's a hell of a lot in those subjects I've just covered. There's a hell of a lot in there. Contacting, inviting alone is a big subject. We can cover that. We can do a whole hour on that, literally in perhaps in another meeting. We can literally go through all the methods. And Derek and I, we're quite good at doing sort of role play type stuff, and we can I'll play the stooge, and Derek can be inviting me. I can be an awkward customer sometimes or not. So we learn things like handling objections. Okay, covering objections before they arise. Covering people's got. Because people look at all sorts of rubbish online, and they think they know what they're talking about, but actually it's just nonsense, And so, but if you're experienced enough, you don't sort of get odd questions really. You cover all those while you're talking to somebody, you cover those anyway before they cover any questions before they even arise, really. So I think so. There's an overview. I don't know if there's anything. I don't think there's anything you want to get in detail with, Derek. I know we've got one person here, Jake, who I assume. Jake, have you actually seen the opportunity? What we're all about at all? Did Paul?
I haven't seen a video on it. No.
Okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll probably pass over to Derek then, just for your sake, and just get Derek to maybe give an overview of what we do. Are you okay for that, Derek?
Yeah, I'll probably go quickly through. But what Jake can do is he can actually watch a video after this anyway. But I'll probably quickly go over the maths.
Just send me a link to the content. That's absolutely
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
We'll do that.
I'll just put it in chat. Put it in the chat, somebody, if you like.
Yeah, I'll do a quick maths on it, because if you understand the maths, then then the rest will come quite easily, really. There's a lot in terms of the different things we benefit from building a team. One simple thing, Jake, we are into investments, so we actually invest money into this, and we don't have to actually worry about how the investment's made, because the company does that. They've been doing it for over 4 years now, and they've averaged a 3% per week return on our investment, and that's quite significant. So we're into the 4th year now, so you actually get paid weekly. But the thing I was going to say, as regards building the team, and this is quite important to understand, it actually helps. Can you hear me, guys? Yeah, because it's saying on my thing unstable internet. Okay. Yeah. So the thing that matters is if you actually introduce or share this with people, and this is why it's key. You get paid on those people's investments, plus you get paid on their weekly returns as well. So in the beginning, that's quite low, but as time goes on, it accelerates massively. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll quickly share my screen and show you how the maths works, and then obviously understanding the rest of it is a bit more time spent. It took me literally. It must have taken about 5 or 6 times of watching the videos before I start understanding the compensation plan. And the reason is because there's so much to it. So don't despair if you don't understand it, because I didn't. In fact, I was earning money without understanding where the money was coming from. So that's fine. And it doesn't matter. Once you get started, just get into it and start working it. And the sharing bit is entirely up to you. You can be passive or sharing, but the benefits of sharing are really, really massive. So what I'll do, I'll share the screen now to go into the maths, and then hopefully you'll be able to get a better understanding from there. Let me just see where my screen is. Okay. Let's just get in there. Okay. Just give me the thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, can you see that, Colin?
I can.
Yeah, okay. So it should be visible to everyone then. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so what I've got here is a simple calculator, a compound calculator. I've been studying compounding for quite a while now, and it's an amazing thing. It's not like anything else. People think compounding is where you just add money and add money and add money, but it's not that. It's how your money grows, and it's amazing to watch how it grows. When you say you're getting 3% a week, in the first week you get 3%. Let's say it's £1,000 and you're getting £30 a week the first week. The second week you're paid on 1,030. So your 3% goes up every single week. So that's quite significant. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you a little bit of maths here about how it works. Let's say, for example, you were to actually start at $1,000, and let's say I'll put the average, which is £3 weekly. Okay, and let's say you were a bit of a person who maybe didn't like risk too much. So where's the risk? Okay, well, I'm going to show you how you can do this without any risk once you've built up a little bit of on your seed money. So you start off with 1,000, 3% weekly. Let's run it for 7 months. It's over compounding over 52 weeks in a year. There is a withdrawal. The withdrawal is actually a service fee that's charged to us after the 5th week. So if you're actually starting on 1,000, the interest that comes in is way over the $25. So it's coming out of your interest. It's not coming out of your own pocket. That's the important thing to bear in mind. So if I calculate that, it'll show that you're actually making 2,185 after 7 months. You've more than doubled your initial amount of money. So you start on 1,000, 2,185. Okay, so let's say you didn't like risk. At this point, you could actually take your 1,000 out. So I'm going to copy that, 2,185. I'm going to now put it back in here, and I'm going to take 1,000 out. So you now are risk-free because that money was what you actually made from Novatek's 3% interest coming in. And because there's no risk now, and again, we're not talking about building teams or anything at this stage, we're just talking pure passive. I'm going to run it for 3 years this time. And there's a reason for that, and I'll show you. So again, we're still paying the 25. And I'm going to calculate. So 3 years later, there's a massive jump. You can see you've gone from a 1,185 initial investment, and that is not your money. It's the money you've made from Novatek. You've now made 100,000, 101,000 really, because you're nearly the 101,000. Now, let's take it one step further, because what I want to show you is, first of all, when you reach 25,000, what's really good about that is the company doesn't charge you the 25 anymore. So I'm going to put this amount in here. It's not your money, it's what you've made. And you've run it for 3 years. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're running for a further 3 years. However, what I want to do this time is show you that if you're like me, I'm actually, I haven't been working for 3.5 years now, and I want to be able to earn an income that's greater than my pension. So let's say we're going to take out 10,000 a month out of this while we're compounding the 100,000, and let's see what that throws up. Okay, so we're at 2 million, 2.8 million. And guys, look, you know, where can you have this ever happen anywhere? You're taking out 10,000 every single month for 36 months, and you still end up with 2.8 million. You know, when I looked at this and you play around with it, you know, I'll put the link to this particular calculation into the group, and you can go and play around with this calculator and put your own figures in. But I'll tell you what, this was really eye-opening, because this is amazing in terms of what the returns are. You know, you're talking about 12 to 15% per month that's coming in. It's just amazing. And if you do help share it with people, then you benefit, because that actually adds to the amount, to your seed money, and it grows it. So within a relatively short space of time, you wouldn't even get that in 10 years in any of our banks. You wouldn't get that in 20 years in any of our banks. In fact, I was looking at something the other day where one of the banks was trying to make me put some savings in there, and they're talking about the amount of money I'd have after I think it was 10 years or something, and I thought, it's not even going to make what this makes in a couple of months. So to double your money in 7 months is amazing. It really is. And that's what we do here. We double our money. So this is how the maths works. Okay. Obviously, 3% isn't always the case. Sometimes we have more, sometimes we have less. But the actual average over the last 3 going into our 4th year is 3%. And that's significant. So this is how the maths works. So I don't know if you want to ask me any questions on that, Jake, at all. Or do you get it?
No, I'm good. It all makes sense. Thank you.
Good. Okay. So yeah, and again, it all depends what you want. I think the thing that Colin said, you know, about talking to people is, before I even show this to people, I want to find out what people want. You know, it might be that somebody wants a retirement plan, legacy. In my case, I've got another account open for my daughter. She lives in London, and I know she'll have a significant deposit on a house in 3 years' time with the money she's put. She's put all her savings into this. So with that, she can actually put a deposit on a house in London, and London's not cheap. So that's her reason for wanting, and my reason for helping her. My reason is I want to stay retired, but I'm not retired really, not in the normal sense, because being retired is lying down and dying because you just don't do anything. But I actually still work, and I work in something I enjoy. I enjoy talking to people. I've got businesses in all 5 continents, and I'm talking to people in different time zones all the time. Today I was in 3 different time zones, and I was talking to people, and it's just great to hear people's stories of how it's changing lives. I know Colin's got some fantastic people in his team who actually, you know, changed some of the things they've done and everything else. And because we worked for quite a while together, Colin and I, you know, we've been lucky enough to see people retire in our business. We've been lucky enough to see people retire out of work. You know, if you know about work, I used to be a chef. I worked 12-hour shift, 12-hour days, 5 and 6 days a week. It was killing me. It was killing me. Not because I didn't like chefing, by the way, because I still love it, and I go out and buy food and I cook loads at home. So and whenever anyone comes over to my house, they're always treated to good food. But I like to do it for not for a living. That's the difference. When you do it for a living, you're working for somebody else, and you're furnishing their dreams and their future, because what happens is obviously they're the ones who are getting the money from that. And that's what we do in jobs most of the time. We actually furnish the lives of the people that are actually paying us, and we're never paid enough really for what the effort we put in. But with this, you can do what you want. You can grow it as fast as you can, and to wherever you want. So what I recommend you do, Jake, is get the video. It's the Nitro video. If you make sure, Paul, that he gets it, or Colin, then intro video. Yeah, if you get that, and then in fact you can put in the link here, and then he can watch it. Now, what's good about that? It's a guy called Bob who's in our upline. He's only been in for just over a year now, and he's making a very, very good income out of this. There's also a nurse that actually introduced him, and she's been in for about 2 years. And if I was to say she's making, I don't even know how to say it really, because it's a lot. You know, about 20,000-30,000 a month is nowhere near where she's making. So yeah, so that's the presentation there. And just going back to what Colin was saying about, you know, your upline and the people, it's important to understand why this structure works so well. Because the people who introduce you have got vested interest in your success, they're going to give you the right information. Okay, that's the important thing. The other thing to bear in mind is we build a community of people who help people. Okay, so if you're that way inclined, you're going to succeed very, very well. Because why wouldn't you share something that's going to make somebody get out of their financial problems, their strifes, etc. Currently, we are going through a major, major upset in the world, and there are many, many people out there who are suffering to various degrees. And you know, even the middle classes are suffering quite considerably, especially with the mortgages, and they're going up, and the new home buyers, etc. I spoke to somebody the other day. In fact, he's my gym instructor, and he actually said that his mortgage he applied for is no longer applicable, and he's actually going to have to pay another $650 a month on top of what he was paying. So he's really, you know, now reaching the maximum in terms of his outgoings with him and his wife. And that's a struggle. And that's a struggle. Imagine building this only for a few months, a year, and having an extra 1,000 come in. You know, that would make a massive difference. So I'd like to hand back to Colin, and we'll carry on with the contacting and inviting, which he's done a stellar job on so far. So Colin, over to you.
Okay, yeah, just to pick up on what finish up on what Derek was talking about there. So just for your benefit, Jake, what Derek just showed you there with that calculator, do you know that's what the banks are doing all the time with your money, whether it's in a deposit account, you know, current account, whatever, your savings account. That's what they're doing with your money all the time. They're making absolute fortune on it, and they've got traders working 24/7 doing that for them. That's what we do. We use a PAM account, which is basically we pay some traders to do a trading for us on the Forex exchange, which is normal currency, and also in cryptocurrency. They do that for us, and they take a 30% commission out of it, and they give us a 70% back, which is incredible, which is really good. But that's what your banks are doing all the time, and they're not giving you anything back, you know. So I don't know what the rates are now. If you've got I don't use savings accounts; it's a waste of time. But I think there's something like less than 0.5% in a year, isn't it? Something like that. I don't know. But that's what the banks are doing. Exactly what Derek showed you. That's what the banks are doing with your money. And but we're just cutting out the middleman. Basically, is what we're doing. So that makes sense. Yeah, that's fine. We're going to wrap this up soon because it's obviously we've sort of come quarter to 9 now. But yeah, contact inviting. So again, how do we, we can cover a little bit of this first of all. So I might have to hand over to Derek, and he can phone me up, and we'll do a bit of role play if you like, and I can kind of ask some questions, and Derek can show you how we cover those, because Derek's very, very good at that kind of stuff. If you look at the size of the team he's built around the world, you can tell he's good at that kind of thing. So a good teacher there. But yeah, so I think getting your posture right, making sure you know that you're doing them the favour and not the other way round. Okay, set an appointment with somebody. So what we can do is we'll go from the premise that Derek's already spoken to me and said he's going to give me a call at such and such a time on such and such a date. Okay, so I'm expected to be there. And Derek will do it. In fact, we can do that. We can do an initial invite if you like, Derek, and then we can take it on from the follow-up call if you like, if you need to do that. So over to you, Derek. I'm just going to play the stooge now. I'm just somebody that you've got on your contact list. And by the way, we got with today's modern technology, we've got thousands of people. Who's got a Facebook account? There are thousands of people you can contact on there. So I'm going to sit back now. I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to pretend I'm just sitting there happily watching the TV or whatever it is, and Derek's going to call me and whatever. So Derek, you're on the phone.
Okay, thank you. I'll get into that in a second. I just want to sort of lay something out in terms of what you need to know, guys. If you look at any job, any career progression, anything where you're going to climb up the ladder to get to anywhere, the people who tend to be the most successful are the people who have the most skills in conversation. Okay, you'll find the people that climb the ladders are the people who talk the most. Okay, the reason why is they become good at conversation. You have a salesman, for example, and you have a product, and there's maybe 3 salesmen and 1 customer, and one of the salesmen has developed his skills so much so that it doesn't feel like he's selling. So what happens? The customer buys off of him, and all the other salespeople say they can't sell it to anybody, to that person. There isn't a single customer that you can't actually promote something to if you get it right. And all that happens between me and Colin, and what we've done is we've talked to a lot more people. Okay, and the more people you talk to, the better you get at it. And I'd even go so far as saying, if you saw me 15, 20 years ago, I wouldn't talk to strangers. I wouldn't even go on a Zoom. That's how uncomfortable I was. In fact, I was doing a business with my wife and we won some award, and I had to go across the stage and I had to make a speech and I froze. I couldn't say a thing. So she spoke and I didn't. And then I walked off very quickly with my tail between my legs. And I always thought, the reason why I became a chef was because I hated management. I was initially in management. I hated management because I had to deal with customers. So at the time, I didn't think it was something that would be good for me. And then when it reversed the role, when I became a chef, then eventually a head chef, I ended up being the chef that came into the restaurant to speak to the customers and to even find out whether there was a good or bad meal, and to deal with the bad ones as well. And the thing is, I dealt with it so well that the ones who had the bad experience became my best customers, the ones who actually asked for me every time they came. So the point here is you can turn any bad situation into a good one, okay? But you've got to get good at conversation. And I don't beat around the bush on this. I say to people, if you're not talking to people on a regular basis, you're not becoming good with the skill. And it's not about selling either. So for example, in the beginning, I wouldn't just go ring Colin and say, hello, Colin, blah, blah, blah. I've got something brilliant for you. Why don't you come and have a look at it? That's like verbal diarrhea. If you're going to a park, right, and you're feeding the ducks, okay, you throw crumbs at the ducks, okay, you don't throw a loaf of bread at them, hit them on the head and sink them. The point is there that when you're conversing with people, you're actually throwing tidbits and you're trying to find out, and you get good at discovering what people want. So I'm going to call Colin up, and I don't know what he's going to throw at me because we haven't rehearsed this. So, so
Well,
Colin,
just take it as a fresh call. We can do kind of 3 calls. You know, we can condense a week into maybe
okay,
5
okay.
minutes.
So I
And,
mean,
so
everyone's
the
going to
initial-
face, everyone's going to
Yeah,
face probably what Colin's going to throw at me because there's lots of common things that happen. So I'm going to ring Colin. Okay, ring.
Hello, Derek.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
Good. You?
Good. Yeah. I'm really, really good. I'm really, really good. What?
I was watching the football actually. Was it? It was. I think.
Okay.
I
So,
think
so
Tottenham-
is it not a convenient time to speak to you? But maybe I should call
No,
you
that's
back
fine,
another
Derek.
time.
Always
Okay.
got a few minutes for you. What's going
Okay,
on?
brilliant. Okay, good. Listen, I just wanted to catch up with you, really, Colin. How's things going? What are you up to these days?
Still working the job, Derek. You know, in
Well,
security,
at
as
the
you know.
airport,
and,
yeah. You're at the airport still, yeah.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right.
Still,
How many
doing-
years have you been there now?
Oh, crikey, 15, 16 years
15
now.
years. I bet they pay you a lot for that, don't they? You must get really good
I wish-
money for that.
I wish they would, Derek. Honestly, you know, it's
Really?
crikey, they don't pay me nearly enough. They don't pay me what I'm worth. That's for sure.
All right.
Yeah,
So what,
obviously,
you think
but
you're
I do-
moving? Or you think you're getting another job? Or what are you doing?
Well, no, not really. What else am I
No.
going to do? You know, I'm kind of like that's all I know, isn't it? You know, how to fix people's alarms and store security and
Yeah.
security
Okay.
guard and all that kind of stuff.
And I
I'm just,
presume,
you know,
I presume you're getting everything you need out of it, aren't you? You're getting the holidays, you're getting all the perks,
No,
aren't you?
well, it's paying the bills, but I had to, you know, instead of Florida this year, it was Skegness, you know, so it's kind of like we had some
Okay.
bills to pay, so we have
And
to
are you
cut.
still,
Yeah,
are
we
you
have to
still
cut.
into the biking? You still into biking? I remember we were
Oh, I
talking
love my
before.
bikes. I love my bikes. Yeah, I love my
Okay.
bikes.
How many
yeah.
how many bikes have you got now?
Well, I've just sold a couple actually. I've only got 2 left. No, sorry, 3 left now. So
Okay.
you know, first.
So
Yeah.
so you've
Sold,
got the
sold.
ones you've got your dream bikes then, yeah?
I've got my dream bikes at the moment, yeah, which is great. You know,
Okay.
it's
Well,
just,
that's good, isn't it? The job's enabled you to do that, hasn't it?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just you know,
Okay.
but it's kind of robbing Peter's play Paul. You know, we do one thing on that hand and this hand. We've got to cut
Right.
back so we can't have such a nice holiday and stuff. And because the wife doesn't necessarily agree that I need to buy another
Yeah.
motorbike, she kind of
Right.
she
Okay.
thinks maybe I should go on a
So
holiday.
tell
with her
me, Colin,
instead.
have you actually looked at anything else to do to increase your monthly income?
Yeah, I've kind of looked at other stuff, you know, and you know, whatever. I've had people phone me up about things, you know. I mean, this isn't one of them schemes, is it? One of those schemes, you know, where you kind of, you know, get
Oh,
rich
Colin,
quick.
Colin, I wasn't even thinking of selling you anything at the moment. Actually, I'm just trying to
okay,
find
cool.
out where you are with everything.
No, cool. All right, okay, great.
But funny you should say that. Funny you should say that, Colin. But if you were open to looking at something, you know, I'd be willing to share it with you. You
Okay.
know, but we'd have to talk properly about it, you know, and probably go on a Zoom call and show you how it all works. But I mean, are you open to making some extra money in your spare time?
Well, I mean, yeah, who isn't? I mean, is there any sort of video or anything you can send me that's of any use or, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, there is. But you know me, I know you very well, so we can do it one to one. I
okay.
don't need to use a
Yeah,
video.
yeah.
But yeah, there is a video. But I personally like talking to people. Then you can see exactly, you know, what's happening, and you can answer my questions in the right way, etc. Or ask me the questions rather. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So listen,
Okay.
this was just really a call to see how you were. I didn't expect you to be able to, you know, to be selling you anything or even, you know, offering you anything. But
Okay.
now that you've asked, let me make a date to talk properly about it. So let's sort
Okay.
something out. Yeah. So which would be better for you, for Saturday or Sunday this week? Let's say
Oh,
about morning.
Saturday's good for me. The morning, Saturday morning is good for me.
Saturday morning. Okay.
Yeah.
So 10 or 11 o'clock, which is better?
11 o'clock. Yes, I tend to
11.
lie on
Okay,
Saturday.
brilliant. Colin, listen, you won't regret this, but you know, I can't promise anything. At the end of the day, it's up to you. But you know, let me talk to you on Saturday at 10 o'clock, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks, Derek.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Brilliant.
Okay, guys. So that was fairly simple, wasn't it? You know, so you can see there, I was kind of as soon as I kind of had some little wobble there, is it one of these kind of schemes? And Derek handled that really well. Didn't phase him, you know. There was no inflection, no tone. He didn't panic. He didn't say, "Oh, crikey, this guy's skeptical or whatever." Okay, because that's what happens. And there's a thing that we say in this kind of business that the will that weakens first strengthens the other. Okay, remember that the will that weakens first strengthens the other. So Derek never wavered at all. When I kind of threw a little thing in there, I could have gone on. Now, what happened if Derek had backed off and said, "Oh, you know," and I detected any fear or worry in his voice at all? He's thinking, "Oh, crikey, what does he know that I don't?" You know, then that would have fed my inquisitiveness. When it would have fed my questions, and there'd been more questions come back in. But because Derek didn't budge at all on that, he didn't worry about it at all. He didn't show any kind of worry or fear about that little doubt that I had at all. He just carried on and handled it and turned it around beautifully. You know, now that seemed very natural. Trust me, when you do it yourself, it's not going to be as natural as that. You might falter, you might stammer, you might do something, but Derek didn't wobble at all. Just
And
guided
by
me.
the way, we've
Yeah.
stumbled many times. I've had so many problems with dealing with things like that in the past. I'd stutter. I'd say, "Look, somebody's calling. I've got to go now. My wife's calling. I've got to go." I would turn around and run. I wouldn't even, handle it. I'd find it such a job if somebody said, "Is it one of those funny things?" I said, "Say what funny things?" I just wouldn't be able to deal with it. And now, come on. The thing is, we've got a serious business here. This is the way you've got to think about it. Within a year, I can make £1 million out of this within a year. And I'm honest about this. Okay. So if you've got a business that's turning over, I'm already turning over $500,000 within 22 weeks. Okay. So you've got a business that potentially can make you $1 million, even $1 billion. You're going to be in charge of that business. Imagine if you're a corporate director and the business is doing that sort of, most major businesses will be happy to turn over $1 million. So what's your posture going to be like? You've got to interview the people as opposed to them interviewing you. And you've got to be thinking about it from the point of view, I've got the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm offering it you. And if you're doing it that way, I'd turn around and take it away. I say, if Colin kept on saying, I'm not sure if I'm interested. Look, Colin, this might not be for you. And I back off. And I do say something like, Colin, listen, I'm doing this and I've been doing it for a few weeks, a few months, whatever. Can I contact you in the future and let you know how it's going on? Now that tells me whether he's still interested somewhat. So in 3 or 4 months, I'll come back to him. I'm not going to touch him or talk about it every time I talk to him. I don't want him to have awkward conversations with me. I've got friends I've told, "Oh, I'll come back to you in 6 months' time." And we talk, but we don't talk about, what I'm doing. If they manage to say, "How's it going?" then I'll say something, but don't make it awkward. Don't make it. And another thing is, we're not selling anything. We're offering an opportunity. Nobody in this business makes no money. There are businesses out there where you pay for products and you pay a subscription, and if you don't cover the cost of that subscription through your sales, you're making a loss every month. In this business, every single person is making money, and since I joined, not one single person has left. Funny thing, isn't it? If people get paid, they don't leave. And if you take the company, now over 200,000 people worldwide, that's a lot of people. And nobody's left. Nobody's leaving. Why would you leave if you're making money every week? There is no reason to leave. And if you take away the risk by taking out your capital, wow, it's a completely different ball game. Then it's not your money to play with. I take money out on a weekly basis. I use a rule, and I'll explain why. I use a rule of 2/3 back, 1/3 out. Why? Because I'm building a legacy income. So the capital that's growing is going to grow faster, and the 1/3 I take out will be my living expenses. But I won't start taking that out till I've got enough coming out. And my goal is December. So I started in May. In December, I want to be in a place where I actually am taking enough to pay all my bills. Currently, my wife's had to go back to work, and and until I make that money, unfortunately, we've got to use her money and my money as well, what I'm making. So it's really, really important to understand what you've got in your hands. Over time, it works really well. Colin, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. That's great. Yeah, it's good. I mean, you can see how I say that. So the key things to pick up there, as I said at the outset there, when Derek finished, is don't be wavered, and that comes from Derek's confidence in what he's got and what he's sharing. Okay, so we don't do that now. As Derek said, Derek and I come from the same background. You know, we were in the same business, not in the same line of sponsorship, as it were, but many years ago well, I started back in the early to mid 90s, and you know, with the daddy of them all, you know, big network marketing company, and it took me 6 months before I actually sponsored anybody, seriously. But all that time I was learning. So, you know, we get in that point A, and point B is where we actually decide to do something with it. For 6 months, I thought I was working hard, you know, but it was all mental struggle, because I didn't know how to pick up the phone. We had, you know, old-fashioned phones, and they weighed about 300 pounds, you know, and because I couldn't pick them up and make the call. And Carol's behind me, my wife, that is, you know, determined to build it. She'd been my driving force all along, and she just kept on at me. She had faith in me for 6 months. I never sponsored anybody. We never did anything at all. In fact, all I was trying to do was prove to her what a load of nonsense it was. But I carried on for her sake. I carried on, and eventually somebody said yes. I nearly put the phone down. And I thought, hang on, did you say yes? Did you say yes? Carol, we got. I was so excited, you know, and we sponsored that person. Do you know what? From that point in, here's the thing: the circle. You know, action will produce a result eventually. That produces excitement and enthusiasm, and then it kind of goes, it accelerates. Okay, so what I know that from that one person I sponsored, 6 months down the line, having not sponsored anybody, all of a sudden, wow, things were going. Do you know what happened then? The next 6 months, I overtook 5 of my upline in terms of the size of my business. I overtook 5 of my upline, and because I just went with it. Then it just gave me that after 6 months of doing nothing. So here's the thing: when you're starting out in your team building, never overlook somebody. It's not who they are; it's who they can become. It's not where they are and who they are; it's who they know as well. Okay, so never give up on anybody. If they're there, if they're coming to a meeting like I did, I was going to the meetings and I just didn't do anything with them. I didn't put it into action. But my upline, God bless them, had faith in me, and they had more faith in myself than in me than I did in myself. And so that's, again, when you're building teams, that's what you got to look for. Okay, don't dismiss people just because maybe they don't get off to a fast start. They may be your biggest team leaders. They may be your biggest supporters. You know, they'll build a business bigger than you built yourself, and that's great. That's what we're about, isn't it? Helping other people to progress, and that's what the whole thing's all about anyway. And we all benefit from that, which is great. So with that, I'm going to wrap that up. Let's cover the first little section, if you like, contact and invite. We might overlap and go backtrack on that a little bit next week, but we'll cover further subjects like the system and other things, you know, that we learn, seminars, books, tapes, whatever it is we get our information from, and in more detail as we go along, each section we go on. But we will go a step back, because obviously there's people not here tonight and maybe there next week, so we might skip back, and hopefully hopefully you got what you need from there, Jake. But if you haven't, get back to Paul, because Paul is a man I've known for some time, of great integrity, and he knows what he's doing. Okay, so if you've got any questions, get back to